God won't bless who you're pretending to be. He'll only bless who he's intended you to be. In Ezekiel 33 and 31, it says, "For my people come pretending to be sincere and sit before you. They listen to your words, but they have no intention of doing what you say. Their mouths are full of lustful words, and their hearts seek only after money." And it's with this understanding that you have to be exactly who God has intended you to be, what he's created you to be, what he has designed you to be, because he's created you on purpose, with a purpose, for his purpose. And the problems that kind of come in when we're so caught up into the world. And even in this verse, we have to realize that there's only two masters that you can serve, but you can only serve one, right? There's two masters, but you can only serve one. And it's either you choose God or the world, but you can't choose both, because the light and darkness don't do togetherness. So there has to be one that you choose. And a lot of times we are getting caught up in the world. We're getting confused. And with this, we get to see, as I was speaking on in the last video, we see so many other people living their lives, right? Which is a blessing and a curse. And I kind of spoke on a lot of one half of that. But when we look at the other part of it, like that curse and that blessing, it goes hand in hand, because I can see you, you can see me, and that's a wonderful thing, right? We can learn and experience things from each other and improve our lives. But the downside to that, we can become so inspired from other people that inspiration starts to form into imitation, right? And now you're trying to imitate what someone else is trying to do, or what someone else is, or who someone else is. And the more and more you try to become like someone else, the further you get from who God is intending you to be. And truth be told, you can only be an average someone else, but you can become a phenomenal you. You can become a phenomenal version of who God has designed you and created you for. But when your inspiration to be like someone else takes over, and now you no longer understand who you are, or what you're supposed to be doing, or what God has created you for, you become lost. And it's hard to find your way back when you don't really have any roots already set into who God has already told you that you are, because you're trying to find it in the world. And the truth is, you're going to be spending so much time looking and searching for something when it was God all along. God is the one who gives you your identity. You don't have to be someone else. You don't have to try to be like me or anyone else, simply because God has already made you a phenomenal version of yourself. It's just time to lean into that. It is time to start realizing that if God has created me and I'm created in their image, then I am enough. I am exactly who I need to be. I am exactly who I'm supposed to be. It's just time that I start leaning into all that God has wanted me and is calling me for. It's time to stop worrying what the world is doing, and it's time to start focusing on the things that God has created you for, because he's created you with and for a purpose. And sometimes it's difficult to understand that in our day-to-day, because we see all these different things that makes a lot of money. We see these different things that, or we see different people living lives that we wish that we could be living. And we think that if we become more like those people, and sometimes they even tell us, like, if you become more like me, if you start doing my morning routine, or if you start learning what I'm learning, reading my books, or getting into my programs or my courses and all that other stuff, right? That you can have the success that I can have. And that's just a one-way ticket. I'm not saying all of it's bad, but depending on your heart posture and how you receive everything, that's just a one-way ticket to get lost from where God is trying to guide you towards, and start idolizing who these people are. And so much so that you lose your own identity trying to become another form of them. And I can attest to this because it's something that I've experienced myself. I've experienced these different things, and is when I realized that like I have to find my identity in the Lord. Who does the Lord say I am? Not what all these other people say, but what does God say? Because we have to realize that God won't bless you or call you to do anything that's going to compromise you. It's just not in his characteristic. Everything that he does and everything that he calls you towards is to bring you closer to him and toward his promises. And one thing that I can for sure promise you is that if it ain't good, then it ain't God. And another thing that I've come to realize is that this idea of being lost isn't always necessarily that you don't know who you are, but it's that you don't know why you are the way that you are. You don't know why you have these gifts, these talents, these ideas, why you think the way that you think, why you believe that you can do this. Why have you had dreams that even though nobody else can really understand them, that they make so much sense to you and that you feel like that you can actually fulfill these things? But because of any number of circumstances when it comes to doubt or anything like that, and honestly, I truly believe that it's not because you don't want to do it. It's never really a lack of motivation, but a lack of discipline to being able to achieve the things that God has called you to do or the things that you have been dreaming about. It's never really a form of motivation, but more of a form of discipline of how to actually accomplish these things and being willing to be consistent enough to actually make your dreams a reality. To know why God has created you is to first understand that you are worthy of his creation. You need not to pretend to be like someone else, but to submit and lean into the person that God has intended you to be all along.